Every Australian is struggling through this Labor-created cost-of-living crisis. Inflation has skyrocketed. Groceries and fuel become increasingly impossible to afford. The energy future of this country is in jeopardy, and those opposite won't even have a mature conversation about it. Our rural and regional roads are in disrepair. Our primary industries are warding off attack after attack. Hard-working young Australians everywhere are barely being able to afford the necessities, let alone save for a house deposit. Mr. Speaker, and thank you to the member for Groom for putting forward this very important motion in response to yet another one of the Albanese Labor government's harebrained ideas. Let me set the scene for you. The year is 2024, and instead of living the Australian dream, we're stuck in a Labor-created nightmare. Every Australian is struggling through this Labor-created cost-of-living crisis. Inflation has skyrocketed. Groceries and fuel become increasingly impossible to afford. The energy future of this country is in jeopardy, and those opposite won't even have a mature conversation about it. Our rural and regional roads are in disrepair. Our primary industries are warding off attack after attack. Hard-working young Australians everywhere are barely being able to afford the necessities, let alone save for a house deposit or make any real plan to safeguard their future, because under Labor, their future looks bleak. Now, in a time of hardship, a reasonable person might start thinking about how they can help a person who's struggling. But, Deputy Speaker, we know that the Labor government is not reasonable. Instead, while Australians everywhere are doing it tough, they've decided to bring in legislation that will take more money away from them. Because those on the other side of the House can't manage their own money, they come after yours. So what have they done? By introducing the Treasury Laws Amendment Bill 2024, the Albanese Labor government has broken yet another one of their promises. Despite making promises of no changes to superannuation before the election, the Albanese Labor government are doubling the amount of tax that Australians will have to pay on their superannuation, which now takes that tax that they'll collect from the Australian public's hard-earned superannuation from 15% to 30%. But don't worry, they're only doubling the tax for the people who have $3 million in their super accounts. It won't impact that many people, said the Prime Minister. And the single biggest issue I have with this bill is there is no indexation. Now, according to comments by the Grattan Institute, within 30 years, about 1 in 10 workers will begin to retire with super balances that will be subject to the Labor government's higher taxes on superannuation. That is 200 times more people than they will be impacted by this bill than the government is claiming. And who are the people who are retiring in 30 years' time? Those young Aussies who are barely making ends meet because of this Labor-created cost-of-living crisis. The very same Australians struggling to pay their bills, struggling to put fuel in their car, struggling to put food on the table, and have no money left over by the end of the week to put into savings, let alone being able to top up their super from time to time, so they don't have to rely on the government as they get older and can't work anymore. Just doubling the tax wasn't enough, though, because those opposite want to impose this tax on unrealised capital gains as well. So even if the younger generations can afford to break into the investment market through a self-managed super fund, they might be asset-rich but cash-poor. And if their land valuation increases, they have to pay tax on it. Deputy Speaker, they will be paying tax on paper gains, and that is absolutely ridiculous. This does not happen anywhere else in the world. Nowhere. But that's exactly what the Albanese Labor government's going to do. This bill is a blatant cash grab from those opposite, and that is why I need to be on the record supporting the member for Groom's motion today. Those of us on this side of the House get out of bed every day and try to make lasting and positive change for the people of Australia. And that's why we're calling on the government to abolish their plans to introduce higher taxes on superannuation. We're calling on the government to enable young Australians to use their tax-advantaged superannuation contributions to buy their first home, which at present is so far out of reach. And we're calling on the government to protect all Australians from a bleak future through their economic mismanagement. We need to lower taxes, cut the wasteful inflationary spending and end this current Labor-created cost of living.
Mate, you ever watch someone just completely unravel on live TV? Like that slow-motion train wreck where you know they're about to lose it and you can't look away? Well, buckle up, because what went down in Parliament this week makes that look like a casual backyard Barbie gone nuclear. Anthony Albanese, our Prime Minister, the bloke who promised a better future, got absolutely roasted by Andrew bloody Wilcox. And mate, I haven't seen a political takedown this savage since Pauline Hanson discovered live microphones. This wasn't just a debate, it was a public execution in slow motion. Albanese didn't just lose his cool, he lost the room, the narrative, and maybe even the last thread of patience Aussies had left for this so-called Labor vision. Before we wrap up this Albanese meltdown, where Wilcox roasted Labor so hard you could smell it through the screen, smash that like button like you're slapping a new tax back at Treasury. Subscribe if you're sick of politicians losing it on live TV instead of fixing the bloody cost of living. And grab the Who Voted for This shirt, links in the description. Alright, picture it, Canberra, 2024. Parliament House buzzing like a dodgy beehive. The vibe's tense. Aussies everywhere are doing it tough. Groceries up. Rent up. Power bills? Mate, they're so high you'd think a GL was charging by emotion now. People are struggling to fill up their utes, farmers are begging for relief, and the so-called Labor government of the people is patting itself on the back for what? More tax grabs and empty speeches about cost of living relief? Pull the other one, it's got bells on it. Enter Andrew Wilcox, the quiet bloke from the north who just had enough of the rubbish. He takes the mic, and before you know it, Parliament turns into a comedy roast with Albanese as the main course. Thank you, Deputy Speaker. He begins calm, composed, but you can feel it. That tension. That I'm about to say something that'll end up on Sky News highlights for a week energy. He sets the scene. Every Australian is struggling through this Labor-created cost of living crisis. And that's it. Boom. The first grenade drops. The room goes stiff. You can see Albo twitching. His smile? Gone. His team? Shuffling papers, pretending to be busy. And Wilcox? He's just warming up. He tears into the Labor government like a bloke tearing through a cold meat pie after a long night. Inflation, he says, has skyrocketed. Groceries and fuel? Practically luxury items now. The energy future of the country in absolute shambles. And those opposite, meaning the Labor crew, won't even have a mature conversation about it. Now, when a Queenslander starts talking about maturity in Parliament, you know it's bad. Because that's like saying a magpie's got manners. But Wilcox isn't wrong. Labor's been treating the cost of living like it's a PR issue, not a national crisis. Then comes the kicker. Our rural and regional roads are in disrepair. If you've ever driven through the outback lately, you know what he means. Half the roads look like they were built by Minecraft players. Farmers can't move their produce, tradies are wrecking their cars, and the government's too busy flying around to climate conferences to notice the potholes swallowing Hillix's whole. Wilcox keeps going. Our primary industries are warding off attack after attack. And mate, he's not exaggerating. Between new taxes, green regulations, and Labor's obsession with net zero slogans that mean bugger all for rural Aussies, farmers feel like they're public enemy number one. And then the hammer drops. Young Aussies, the so-called future, are struggling to even afford the basics, let alone dream of owning a home. They can't save for a deposit, he says. They can't plan for a future. Under Labor, he adds, their future looks bleak. You could almost hear the sound of every mortgage broker in Sydney nodding silently in the background. Now, Albanese could have played it cool, nodded along, taken it on the chin. But nah, not our Albo. The camera pans, and there he is, rolling his eyes, smirking like a bloke who's just been caught out. You can tell he wants to jump in, but even he knows it'll just make things worse. Wilcox presses on, calling out the Treasury Laws Amendment, Bill 2024, the one that doubles the super tax from 15% to 30%. Doubles it. Because clearly, the solution to a cost of living crisis is to take more money from the people who actually save. Makes sense, right? Wrong. It's economic lunacy, And Wilcox calls it exactly that. He says Labor promised no changes to super before the election, but surprise, surprise, another broken promise. You can almost hear the echoes of "there will be no carbon tax" in the chamber. Then he reads the fine print. Not only are they doubling the tax, but they're doing it without indexation. Meaning, as inflation creeps up, more and more people are going to get caught in that trap. The Grattan Institute reckons that within 30 years, 1 in 10 Aussies will retire with balances that cop this tax. 1 in 10. That's 200 times more people than Labor's pretending will be affected. It's like saying, don't worry, only a handful of people will drown, while you're standing on a sinking ship. And that's when it happens. Albanese snaps. You can see him muttering to his front bench, throwing his hands in the air like he's directing traffic at a Bunnings car park. The speaker glances over, eyebrows raised. The cameras zoom in, and there it is, that red-faced, lip-biting, I'm about to lose it but can't because it's live TV look. You know the one. Wilcox just keeps going. He's calm, cool, deadly accurate. Like a sniper with a microphone. Then comes the part that really set the internet on fire. Wilcox says Labor's now taxing unrealized capital gains, meaning you pay tax on profits you haven't even made yet. Imagine buying a house, its value goes up, and the government says, "Oi mate, time to cough up some cash." Even if you haven't sold it. Even if you're broke. Even if you're just sitting on the land, watching kangaroos hop across your paddock, you're paying tax on paper gains. Wilcox sums it up perfectly. This doesn't happen anywhere else in the world. Nowhere. And he's right. It's like taxing a fisherman for the fish he almost caught. Ridiculous. By now, the room's gone wild. The Liberals are smirking. The Nationals are chuckling. Even the crossbenchers are hiding their laughs behind their hands. Labor MPs are shuffling in their seats like they've just realized they're in the wrong movie. Albanese? Fuming. He's whispering furiously to Jim Chalmers like, "Mate, do something." But Chalmers looks like he's about to melt into his chair. There's no comeback. There's no spin. It's just Wilcox, standing there, dropping truth bombs like it's Anzac Day artillery. And then, just when you think he's done, he adds one more punch. He says, this bill isn't just bad policy. It's a blatant cash grab. Boom. Mic drop. You can almost hear the nation collectively say, he's not wrong. Because it's true. Labor's cooked up one of the sneakiest fiscal tricks in modern Aussie history. Instead of fixing inflation, they're taxing aspiration. Instead of helping young people, they're penalizing success. Instead of governing, they're scavenging. Now, at this point, Albanese leans forward, face red, hands clenching, and you just know he wants to blow up. But he can't. He's the PM. He's supposed to look prime ministerial. Except the only thing prime about him right now is the level of embarrassment radiating through that chamber. Wilcox, meanwhile, looks like he just walked out of the ring after going 10 rounds with Mike Tyson and didn't even break a sweat. The crowd's eating it up. Then Wilcox delivers the knockout. While Aussies are doing it tough, this government's decided to take more money from them because they can't manage their own. The chamber goes silent. Even the speaker doesn't know what to say. It's one of those moments where everyone in the room knows history just happened. The PM got schooled live and unfiltered. But Wilcox doesn't stop there. He starts laying out what should have been obvious solutions all along. Let young Australians use their super to buy their first home. Logical, right? Labor says no. Why? Because it'd actually help people. He calls for lower taxes, less wasteful spending, and an end to what he calls the Labor-created cost of living crisis. And mate, when he says that line, even some on the government side shift uncomfortably. Because deep down, they know he's right. The cost of living isn't just an accident. It's the result of a government that spends like a uni student with their first credit card. And that's what makes this moment so bloody powerful. Because for the first time in a long time, someone in Parliament actually said what half the country's been screaming at their TV for months. People are tired. Exhausted. You can't keep calling it temporary inflation when the only thing going down is public trust. Now, let's talk about the aftermath. Because this moment didn't just stay in Parliament. Oh no. It went viral. Social media lit up like a Christmas tree. Clips of Albanese's face, red, fuming, awkward, were trending under hashtags like #AlboLosesIt and #WilcoxRoast. Sky News ran it on loop. Even ABC, bless their little bias, couldn't ignore it. TikTok was full of edits, Wilcox with dramatic music, Albo's reactions slowed down in black and white. It became political theatre gold. Aussies in pubs were saying, "Did you see that bloke Wilcox tear into Albo?" And that's how you know it hit a nerve, when the politics leave Parliament and hit the pub. The Labour spin doctors tried to downplay it, of course. Nothing unusual, they said. Healthy debate, they said. But you could see it in their faces. Damage control mode. Albanese even tried to joke about it the next day, saying, "I didn't lose it. I was just passionate." Mate, you were about as passionate as a bloke yelling at the TV because his footy team blew a 3-goal lead. The footage doesn't lie. And this whole fiasco exposed something bigger, the growing divide between the political class and real Aussies. Because while Labour MPs sit there in their nice suits talking about long-term sustainability and structural adjustments, people out here can't afford to fill their car or buy lettuce. The disconnect's massive. And every time someone like Wilcox cuts through the noise, you can feel the frustration bubbling over. Aussies don't want spin. They want answers. The funniest part? Albanese's response wasn't to defend his policy, it was to deflect. He mumbled something about equity and responsibility, the usual political mush that means nothing. Because how do you defend a tax on money that doesn't exist? You can't. You just hope people aren't paying attention. But thanks to this viral clip, everyone is now. By the end of it, Wilcox walked out of that chamber like a conking hero. Even people who didn't know his name before now do. Albanese? He left looking like a man who just realized his spin team can't save him forever. And you know what's crazy? All Wilcox did was speak the truth. No theatrics, no exaggeration, just facts delivered with a side of Aussie bluntness. And it worked. Because Australians respect that. We respect honesty, even if it's brutal. We respect a bloke who calls it as he sees it. What we don't respect is a government that hides behind excuses while people suffer. And that's the core of this story. It's not about political sides, it's about who's actually standing up for the everyday person. So yeah, call it controversial. Call it theatre. Call it whatever you want. But when Andrew Wilcox stood up and humiliated the Labour Party on live TV, he didn't just win a debate, he won the moment. The internet crowned him the people's MP. Albanese, on the other hand, just reminded everyone why the trust is fading faster than his campaign promises. And if you think that's the end of it, think again. Because word is, more MPs are ready to unload on the government next sitting week. This wasn't a one-off explosion. It was the spark, the first crack in Labour's carefully polished image. Aussies are waking up, asking questions, and demanding answers. And no amount of spin is gonna patch that up. So next time you see Albanese giving a calm, collected press conference, remember this moment. Remember the red face, the silence, the humiliation. Because no matter how they try to frame it, this was the day the mask slipped. The day the people's government got reminded who they really work for. And hey, if you're still watching, you're a legend. Drop a comment below, what do you reckon? Was Wilcox spot on, or was it just political theatre? Because from where I'm standing, it looked like the truth finally got its day in Parliament. Before you head off, smash that like button like you're sending a message straight to Canberra. Subscribe so you don't miss the next political circus we break down right here, because trust me, there's always another one around the corner. And of course, grab the "Who voted for this" shirt, links in the description. Till next time, legends, keep your eyes open, your wallet safe, and your politicians on a short leash. Because if we don't hold them accountable, no one will.